I am Christopher Peter and I welcome you back to the CRC Review, your podcast for common sense analytical commentary on salient topics impacting our economy and society. In this podcast, I am going to discuss the debate over reforming federal minimum wage and how our approach should be improved. Discuss how we can better battle poverty. Finally, I will provide a real-life example of how one can achieve income mobility, which is a key in elevating more people out of poverty than minimum wage policies. The whole purpose of implementing a wage floor was to protect American workers who work in what are deemed low-skilled positions from becoming impoverished despite working. Even the best intentions can lead to negative externalities that harm others while helping some. Consider the recent push to increase the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. The Congressional Budget Office analyzed the proposed legislation, projecting the proposal, in its current form, will increase compensation for 500,000 American workers, while eliminating employment opportunities for 1.5 million prospective American workers. One must consider that the economists at the Congressional Budget Office are conservative in the analysis. Not regarding ideology, but in how they weigh what variables to factor in their projections. Why this is an important aspect to understand is because there are outcomes beyond the scope of the analysis that come to fruition. Factors hard to quantify or track may be excluded. One should expect experts to factor in the impact raising minimum wage will have on industries like the food service. The impact on both national corporate restaurant chains as well as the mom-and-pop individual locations. National chains will undoubtedly invest in automation and technology to reduce dependency on labor. For the remaining labor, they will see their hours reduced or workload increase. How much did experts factor in the impact to other industries that might see wage pressure due to increase in lesser skilled positions? Positions currently paying the $15 an hour may include temp or office jobs that require some level of work experience now being equated to unskilled labor, which are usually ones at the minimum wage level. Again, reduction in staff and hours, while investment in automation and tech solutions will force more people out of the workforce, potentially increasing the number of people impacted by the proposed legislation. There is a need to protect American workers working in low-skilled positions from seeing their wages suppressed well below livable levels. For some positions, the compensation is already below livable. Completely repealing minimum wage is not something that will occur. But the potential for realistic reform is always there. Minimum wage programs can mitigate the negative externalities in our economy by being administered by states instead of the federal government, provide exemptions for young workers, and offer temporary waivers for domestic producers of critical supplies. The cost of living varies greatly depending on where one lives. In states like New York, New Jersey, and California, the $15 does little to provide a livable wage in many areas of these states. Contrarily, $15 an hour may provide a manageable life in areas with far lower cost of living. The program should factor regional economic factors into wage floors, not providing a boon for one group and bust for another. Cities like New York and Los Angeles will also see their vibrant restaurant communities, which are a staple for residents and visitors, negatively impacted more so than more affordable areas. A significant problem many do not want to address in the impact minimum wage policies have on employment and social outcomes for teens and young Americans. One must remember many minimum wage jobs were not meant for people to raise a family on. Rather, these positions offered opportunities for teens to develop foundational work experience that will foster a strong work ethic in the future. In addition, teen employment may be somewhat vital to a household, as teens can offset their cost to their head of household through employment opportunities. Some teens are not seeking employment simply for experience or for some level of self-reliance. Some teens need to work to help bring in money for their families. Unfortunately, poor public policies combined with poor personal choices helped keep people in minimum wage jobs that otherwise should have advanced their jobs into careers at some point. The backlog reduces opportunities for teens needing these positions. Many studies show that there is a direct relation to increases in minimum wage and increases in teen unemployment and teen violence. If some teens are not able to find legitimate work, they will make ends meet one way or another. Therefore, there needs to be some exemptions that help protect opportunities for teens, if we genuinely believe that children are our future. This can be done in a responsible manner to prevent employers from completely shifting the makeup of their labor. The ideal solution is to increase income mobility to help transition working-class individuals into positions that meet their life needs. For some, that ship might have already sailed. For others, there is still the possibility to leverage the basic customer service, production, retail, and selling skills into higher wages opportunities. The reason much of the things we enjoy in our everyday life is made in China is largely because of the cost advantage the Chinese manufacturing industry offers producers. The Chinese government effectively monetized its vast population of unskilled labor to offer low-cost manufacturing to global companies, which effectively created a growing middle class. As all Americans should well understand now, there is great risk when the United States relies on material produced outside of our borders within nations not friendly to our interests or needs. For these critical supplies, the government should offer exemptions to allow more workers to attain opportunities in domestic manufacturing critical goods. While much of manufacturing in the United States is automated to a degree, there are still opportunities if policymakers provide some relief, possibly drawing in young workers needing employment. These ideas can help make wage floor policies more equitable for workers across our nation, less harmful to groups in need of early employment, and more attentive to the needs of our society. Minimum wage is not the panacea to eliminate poverty by any means. Raising people to a wage level conveniently decided by the same people may be good for their political careers but may not be effective overall. There is a need for us to take a step back and rethink our approach. Minimum wage is not going away, but how it is implemented can be done better. Now let us move on to discuss poverty in a broader sense. Boldly fighting poverty is not a partisan issue, but an endeavor a nation blessed with great resources, diversity, and a dynamic free market economy should pursue. In this crucial fight, our biggest asset readily available is our free market capitalist economy. Yes, capitalism is our biggest asset. For generations, even the most ardent advocates of wealth redistribution understood to some degree that our free market economy is the reason our society has wealth for them to redistribute. A major focus was finding a balance to ensure no harm was done to the golden goose to make sure that there were still golden eggs for our economic omelets. Now, the dangerous push to the left calls for doubling down on the failed redistribution approaches in a manner no longer respective of the system that elevated more people out of poverty than any other. In fact, some call for a radical end of it in favor of a system that proved time and time again to offer nothing but abject poverty, social violence, and tyranny. There has been some real progress in leveraging our free market principles and opportunity zones, which help lift people to better places in life. As I stated in Expanding Economic Opportunity, the best opportunity to fight poverty is to expand market economics to areas with closed economies, which is the issue plaguing many impoverished areas of our cities. There need to be better opportunities for people to trade labor for compensation and lay the foundation for income mobility, which I will expand upon later. Our approach with redistribution has not yielded positive results. In fact, the percentage of Americans deemed living in poverty has not changed since the war on poverty began. Should not really surprise anyone. Transferring wealth does not change the underlying reasons why the person might have fallen into poverty. We need to look past the narratives and soothing tales to understand why people in a nation with the most dynamic economy still experience poverty. People are not poor simply because they lack the drive or ambition to succeed. There are many people that follow the expected path and still do not come out where they expected to be. Consider the number of people that live their lives paycheck to paycheck, where one downturn that threatens one of those checks can sink them into poverty. People are not simply poor because of no fault of their own either, as there are choices made and opportunities not taken that directly impact their outcomes. Decisions we make every single day contributes to whether we avoid poverty or not. Do we decide to continue to reside in a location where opportunities are diminishing, or do we relocate and separate from our community? Do we invest in ourselves and learn new skills to reinvent our professional portfolio, or do we hold firm that employers should compensate for skill sets moving away from market expectations? Our approach to fighting poverty needs to be more than simply passing the burden from one person to another. We need to rethink our approach and use the tools we know work. Like millions of Americans, my first job was a minimum wage job. I worked in a fast food restaurant as a part-time employee. While the position did not require much skill to perform the required tasks, it does require you to be on your feet throughout the shift. Requires you to perform repetitive tasks with consistent quality. requires you to learn customer service while assisting customers who have no empathy for your current plight. It is not a desirable job, but one I am glad I had at the time. It allowed me to offset my cost of living from my parents, so they did not have to pay for school-related costs. I aggressively worked as many shifts as possible, while still maintaining a strong academic record and community service portfolio, to help me when I transitioned to college, which I put myself through. I realized the blessing of having parents that instilled in me a strong work ethic, education as a priority, faith as a foundation, and the value of a dollar. There are some people in need of money not willing to work in minimum wage positions. But the reality of life is that you must start somewhere. Starting one place does not mean ending there. In any facet of life, one should always realize the skills you are developing and learn how to trade those skills in for opportunities in higher paying roles. If one can do this continuously and combine it with education enhancements where necessary, that person will have what we like to call a career. A hard reality in life is that no one is going to hand you what you do not ask for or what you are not willing to work for. No one owes us anything but basic protection for known harm and a fair opportunity to show our worth. Some people find it easier to get into their preferred path in life. Others must take a longer and more arduous path. Complacency and lack of self-awareness are two factors that will doom any career. Do not outsource your future to the hope someone else gives you the break you need. Find that opportunity and put yourself in the best position to attain it when available. Do not accept excuses. There is racism and other forms of discrimination. But hate will not be the reason you succeed or fail. You ultimately bear that burden. I thank you for experiencing my podcast. For more, please continue to visit www.crcreview.com. Until next time.